following show contains adult content. It's not our intent to offend anyone, but we want to inform you that if you are a child under the age of 18 or get offended easily, this next show may not be for you. The content, opinions, and subject matter of these shows are solely the choice of your show hosts and their guests, and not those of the Entertainment Network or any affiliated stations. Any comments or inquiries should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for listening.
Hey everyone, and welcome to 50 Shades of Bullshit. I'm your host, Christine Lalonde, and this is the podcast where we uncover the truth about online dating. Now let's begin. Hey everyone, I'm Christine.
I'm Jada.
And this is 50 Shades of Bullshit.
Yes, it is.
You know, I never think about changing our opening until I'm sitting here.
Same.
Damn it.
When I'm listening to it, I'm like, we should probably change that.
Yeah, it's been a while. Because we're not just about what's going on in online dating. We're so,
Everything.
Diverse now.
Yeah, we talk about everything.
Yeah, we do. Hi, have you had a good week?
I've had a really busy week, and these headphones are not working, and I'm a little flustered, hence the rush before the show, but it's fine.
We can still hear you all right. I listen to the show when it goes up on like Apple Podcast, and I don't hear it as echoey as you think you sound, but I get it. I get it. Maybe just order some new.
Yeah, I'm going to have to, which, whatever, it's fine. How are you, beautiful? Looking lovely. Your lighting is fantastic.
It's getting better. I need another ring light. But my week has been pretty good. I mean, it's been busy. It's been kind of, busy.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say. I'm running my ass off everywhere. I'm waiting for the day I don't have to do that anymore.
So am I. Do you want to talk about the challenge that we're doing, our little workout?
Yes. Actually, I was going to talk about our little friend, Jamie. Isn't he awesome?
Mm-hmm.
Aren't you glad that
I absolutely love him. Yeah.
Drug you into this with me? Jamie is so... Okay, so in the last few episodes, I've been talking about how Jamie is a fitness instructor and a health professional, and he's doing this 2-week free workout thing. And he's just quite lovely. I mean, we become friends before I started talking about it on the show, but seeing the kind of support and excitement and energy that he brings to the table for this workout and support for the food, he's just amazing. And I love this. Yeah. I love it. Do you love it?
I love it. I like his messages. I get his texts. I get his voice notes. I was telling you, I feel so like I'm definitely accountable because I know that he's watching. So so I have to do it. But I think it's good. I mean, I'm exhausted.
Yeah, I'm fucking tired. Yesterday, I could not keep my eyes open all day. I was like, oh my God. But I'm also doing spin on Wednesday mornings, and I'm adding in a bunch of, stuff. Plus, I cut out in
extra stuff.
I've cut out 98% of my sugar. So I'm feeling really depleted and tired. So I'm working hard, but yeah.
Well, I'm not drinking, and I love a good wine, honey, but that has so much sugar. So I'm not drinking. So I'm like, oh, me.
I love it. It's good. It has been great. So if anybody's out there searching for your journey of being accountable and wanting to work out and have a nutritional guide and someone to really be in your corner to pep you up, Jamie is it. And if you are interested in connecting with him, we will connect you with him. Reach out to us, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, email. The information is during the show and right after the show. You're welcome to do that, and we'll gladly connect you with him. It's been really enjoyable. So,
Yeah.
but he's one of my favorite people.
He is a gem.
I actually live for his voicemails in the morning. But I've been getting them for about a month. I think we've been friends for a couple months now. But,
Okay.
Yeah, I met him through the Tony Robbins group.
Yeah,
So,
I remember you saying that. It is nice to hear the British accent first thing in the morning.
Actually, he's Scottish, but he
Scottish.
lives in
Even
English.
better,
English.
honey.
I know. It doesn't hurt that he's fucking hot as AF.
Indeed.
I wish either I was younger or he was older, because I don't even know if he's married, gay, straight, whatever. I'll take him. I'm just going to put him in my pocket and keep him.
All right. Great.
Anyway.
Wait, well, happy first day of summer.
Yes. Tomorrow is the solstice on the 21st.
Tomorrow's the solstice, yes.
And tomorrow's the full moon. And I started my rituals. I've got my 13 magic words on my hand.
See, you have so many rituals. I don't even know what this one is. What's the hand? Tell me what is the hand?
Yeah, it's for love. It's for love. And it's
Let me find a pin.
It's 13 magical words from another language. And I'll send you the ritual. If anybody is searching for love and you're looking to manifest, a love, I'll give it to you. So yeah, it's fun. So I'm doing this tonight, and I'm doing my full moon water stuff tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm doing a lot of shit.
All right. Well, fill me in, sister. We can
take
on that journey together.
I know. I love it. Well, I'm very excited. We are doing another menopause episode today. It's Menopause Real Answers. We have a hormone specialist with us to give us, God damn it. I hate it when my friends goddamn call me when I'm doing this show, because it's like, thanks for listening, assholes. Okay. Let's go on. And Dunev. Okay, I asked her before the show how to say her name,
and she said Dunev.
It's Dunev. Okay,
so.
Correct me, Anne, when you come on the show if I did it wrong. But she is a naturopathic practitioner, and I probably said that wrong too. She has 30 years experience helping people with natural medicine and nutrition to achieve wellness and relieve symptoms by addressing them at the root cause. She has a BS in health science and a PhD in neuropathy. Yep, I think I said it wrong. A post-doctorate certification in applied clinical nutrition, and is certified in homeopathic medicine and trained in herbal and functional medicine. Good Lord, she is a genius. She is also a certified health educator and specializes in women's hormone balance. Hallelujah. This is why we have her here. Her unique approach is to balance the entire endocrine system, including the hormones that govern blood sugar and metabolism. I can't read.
It's metabolism.
Is that how you say it? It's metabolism. I can never read it right. Instead of focusing only on female reproductive hormones. Anne has practiced in London and in Los Angeles. She has been a guest on over 150 radio shows and podcasts and natural solutions to health and wellness, and guest featured on Wellness Festivals and Symposiums. She is the author of The Fat Fix Diet. Let's bring Anne on, because I suck at her intro today. You had some big words in there. I could not do.
I know. It's a naturopathy, not neuropathy.
Yes. Thank you. Naturopathy. And did I say your name right?
Yes, that was perfect.
Okay. Everything else I couldn't read worth shit. Here we go. Well, Anne, I actually do not remember how I found you. It was definitely a couple of years ago before my ex put my daughter on her antidepressant medication because I wanted to get her a natural check to see at 15 if she had just some kind of hormone imbalance and what naturally food wise she should be doing. I was disregarded and they put her on medication, and now we're trying to get her off this medication so that she could actually do the career that she wants to do. I still have to work on that. I reached out to you a few years ago when we were going through this. And when we started talking about hormones and menopause, I knew I had to reach out to you again. So here we are, because Jada is in perimenopause. I'm already had and gone through menopause. I still get a few symptoms, but we're kind of the gamut before and after.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I think I don't know what the rules are. What I know is that it's been almost 11 months that I have not had a period. So I feel like
you're almost there.
Yeah. You're right on the cusp
of
menopause. Yes.
The best part about this is that I don't have a period every month. Hallelujah. That's the best part.
Right.
But then you have the heat flashes, the weight gain, the brain fog, the everything. Everything.
You're having those now, all of those?
Oh, yeah.
Well, even though it's common to have those, it doesn't mean you have to at all.
Really?
I think you can go through menopause without those symptoms very smoothly, but you have to know what you're doing. You have to, and I don't know if you can do it without supplementation in our current environment because the food supply is not adequate and we're not getting enough nutrients and we have very stressful lives.
Yeah.
Cortisol and adrenals really make a very, very big difference. We think about estrogen and progesterone because those are the big ones that change our, perimenopause to menopause, but that's only a very small fraction of the picture. The whole hormonal system, every part has to still play a role even after menopause.
So I have a question. I probably will have a million questions, but so when I hit the 12-month mark, then what happens? Like
you get a big certificate and
oh gosh.
That just means that you probably are pretty much at the end of your periods.
Okay.
And now very often a woman will continue, but they'll be very irregular. I know a couple of women who hit the 12-month mark, went about 6 months, had one more period, kind of like the body's just one more shot at it, and that was it. And it happens at such different ages, but your mother's age at menopause is a pretty good predictor.
See, that's interesting because my mother she was in her 40s. I'm in my 40s as well, but she had to be almost kicked into menopause because her periods were so bad. So they gave her medication. So she didn't go through it naturally. She had medication to help her, but me, it's all natural.
Right. And that's fine. I just don't think women are served well by the medical community. And they used to just put women on birth control pills, but they don't do that so much anymore because after 40 and even before 40, birth control pills probably have more side effects than we realize because they're endocrine disruptors. So you're messing with the natural system. And I do some natural fertility, and women who are on birth control pills for many years very often then have trouble getting their periods back on a regular basis. But with natural medicine and herbal medicine and homeopathy, it's all fixable for the most part.
What are some things? Go ahead, Christine.
I don't know what my mother went through with menopause. I know that I don't know. I don't really know any of that because she passed away a handful of years ago, and we never really talked about it. You know, nobody talks about. So that's one of the things. This is like our third episode on menopause. So because I think that there's just not enough help out there and people don't know where to turn. That's why I wanted to have you here. So I don't know what my mother went through. Some of our listeners listen live, Anne, and they send messages through the board. And they said, can women get pregnant after they are going through this? Well, once you stop having periods, you can't get pregnant anymore.
Pretty much, but don't forget that sometimes it's not just 100% cutoff. So there have been cases where women did get pregnant thinking they were going through perimenopause or menopause, and they had a surprise. So it is possible. I think that if you didn't want to get pregnant, you probably should use some form of birth control until you're fully in menopause. And blood work can show that. So that is a possibility also, is to get some blood work done and see what those blood markers show.
Okay. So they're also asking what we were just talking about with, what your mother went through. They're asking, why would that matter what maybe your mother or your grandmother and the other women in your family have gone through during that?
Well, just in terms of predicting menopause, it's just one of the predictors. It's not exactly right. One thing that I run into, because I do help women of all ages, is women saying, oh, everybody in my family has horrible cramps. We all have migraines. My grandmother, my aunt, my sister, and just because it's common does not mean it has to be that way. I think that, of course, I only have a small sample of the women I've seen in the last 30 years, but there wasn't anybody I couldn't help in terms of what they were going through symptomatically. Because if things are working correctly, you won't have those symptoms. But it's very often not just the hormone system. The liver plays a huge part in all of this. So sometimes you need a liver cleanse or just liver support. I see that a lot with migraine headaches because the liver has to break down the hormones.
So you're really the only person that has actually had any real idea or solutions. Why is it, do you think, that our gynecologists that we go through to help us with our cycles and our vagina health and our breast health, why do you think they don't know shit?
Well, it's simply the way they're trained. They're trained to use drugs and surgery. So anything that doesn't require a drug or surgery approach, they don't have answers to. But you really don't need drugs and surgery to go through menopause because it's a pretty natural thing. So then natural medicine has a lot of answers for that.
Yeah, I remember when I started early on going through it, and I was chatting with Christine about it. I was so frustrated because I was going to I went to my doctor, I went to my gynecologist, and it was just like, oh, it's just probably menopause. Just, all women go through it. You just got to figure it out. I'm like, well, what about the weight gain? What about this? They're like, well, it's going to happen. And I told Christine, I'm like, this is so frustrating. I almost feel like a psychotic woman because no one is like telling me, like there should be a way around it. Yeah. No one was telling me what to do. No one has still told me what to do. I'm just researching it on my own. So.
Right. Well, functional medicine practitioners, some nutritionists, naturopaths would be able to give good advice and give the kind of support that's needed. But it takes a little bit to really understand what to do, whether to use some bioidentical hormone replacement, where you can use herbal medicine instead, how safe it is. It's a pretty individual approach. It's not a shotgun, one size fits all approach. Every woman would be different. And so their own personal situation needs to be taken into account.
How do they get to that place? Like, how do they find out what it is that they personally need? Who do they go to and what do they do to discover this?
Well, I think that asking friends if they have anybody that they've seen that is on the natural side. Some of the Chinese medicine doctors are good. Some of the acupuncturists can help with this. And, checking around online for, there's directories and such, holistic practitioners, homeopaths, naturopaths, functional medicine doctors. So you do have to do a little bit of research, but I think it's growing more and more. I am having so many people reach out to me these days and say, okay, I tried the medical. I think I need another approach. And of course, medical is great if you get hit by a bus. You definitely don't want to go to a homeopath first. You want to go to a really good trauma center. But these normal passages of life, they really just require the same thing we've always required for thousands of years, and that's natural medicine, herbal medicine. That's why you always had wise women and herbalists that would help. There's so much in the natural medicine world that is safe and effective.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on, this is probably a tricky question, but I've seen a lot of people using weight loss medication for whether it's the semaglutide, the Mounjaro. It's typically obviously supposed to be helpful for people that have diabetes, but I'm seeing a lot of people use it for weight loss. And I've actually had girlfriends who are going through menopause that are using those medications to help with the weight gain. Do you have people ask you for prescriptions for that? Or how does that work? Is it even worth it? What are some of your suggestions?
I don't get asked that. And I have had a couple of patients tell me that they have used those drugs for a short period of time.
Yeah.
I'm obviously not going to be a fan of those drugs. I think we're just starting to see the tip of the iceberg on the side effects. And this is what so often happens in the drug world. It's the greatest thing since sliced bread when it comes out and when it's being used. And of course, people are losing weight, but it's a very odd way to lose weight. It's almost puts you into anorexia.
Yeah.
Because it binds with the receptors that govern whether you feel hungry or not. And so in a way, you're going into starvation, which is never helpful. Of course, you lose lean muscle more than you lose fat. And so that's also not a great idea. And there are other solutions, by the way.
I don't know what's happening with Christine's. It's a horrible echo, Christine.
Hi, guys. Sorry, my computer is completely frozen. So here we are.
I'm like, it's a horrible echo. What is going on?
Christine,
Yeah, I had it
if
crossed.
you have any way to put headphones or earbuds or something with it, if not, you're going to have to mute when you're not talking.
Okay.
So, Anne, I just to speak to that, because you talked about almost putting your body into anorexia. I have a friend of mine that was also going through menopause, and she used one of those. She actually has stopped and she's trying to put weight back on, but she was telling me it was so bad. It made her nauseous. She had headaches. She could only have like bites of food at a time. When she drank alcohol, she almost felt like somebody drugged her. It was really, really bad. But I mean, on the flip side, she was like, I lost that menopausal weight.
Yeah, I understand. There's a couple of other tricks I can tell you about that.
Yeah.
30 grams of protein, 3 meals a day will help bind with that same receptor site. A lot of times women don't eat enough protein. And so 30 grams of protein 3 times a day, that would be 3 eggs, for example.
Okay.
And of course, not, watching the sugar and the simple carbs, very, very important, because we just don't need it these days. So, and then the other thing is berberine. And berberine is a herb that's been used for centuries. That also, it's actually what the drug came from. Very often.
I believe.
Really?
I think so. Christine put me on some. Oh, she must be looking for it.
I did that. I was
Okay.
doing research. I saw berberine and I started taking it, and I told Jada about it.
Yeah, I just started taking it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it actually has studies that show that berberine, pretty good doses, you can't just take a little bit, but pretty good doses of berberine actually will help with people who used it lost more weight than those who weren't using it. So there, again, the natural world does have some answers to this, and without the risk of the semaglutide.
Now, in terms of protein, sorry, Christine.
Yeah, I hear your question. I'm happy you're about to ask that because I wanted to ask that. But I'm doing berberine twice a day, once in the morning when I eat, and once at night when I eat, like one tablet. So twice a day. Is that something that I'm on the right path on, or no?
It depends on the dose, but probably you would need more than that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I do 3.
That's not much.
Oh.
And so it depends, because I don't know what brand and what the dose is and stuff.
Okay. Jada, you were going to ask about the eggs.
Yes, you already knew. So 30 grams of protein each meal. So for someone like myself, I eat eggs, but I don't eat meat.
Okay.
So what suggestions would you have in order for me to get all of the protein I need, aside from I can't eat 1 million eggs in a day. I just can't do that.
I wouldn't advise that anyway. So are you eating fish or chicken or any?
No, I haven't in 7.5 years, but I think I'm going to go back to eating salmon. My doctor suggested it just for iron purposes and just in general, because I've had some other issues. So I am probably about to start going back to having fish.
Okay. So why would you won't get iron from fish though?
Well, I don't want to eat red meat.
Right.
In my mind, it just makes
I think you should eat fish. I think that's fine.
Okay.
But that won't give you your iron. You should go on an iron supplement if you need iron.
I should. I've been told that 1 million times and I have not yet, but I need to.
Yeah. And there's, it's a mineral. So, you don't have to eat meat to get iron. There's some very good iron supplements.
Okay.
Now, I'm when I dropped off, I don't know if you guys have addressed this or not, so forgive me if you have. But when someone goes to someone like you, Anne, and they're checking to see, what form of action they need, like a certain amount of protein or some kind of supplement or something, is there a certain kind of check that you go through? How do you check people's hormones? What do you do in that process?
For hormones, I do like to do saliva testing, because saliva testing you do on a certain day of the cycle for a woman who's still having periods. If you're not having periods, then you're not stuck on a certain day, but there's different amounts of information you want to know. But it's really a good idea to get lab work, because you don't want to have estrogen dominance. That's where you're at a higher cancer risk. So one of my main goals, of course, for women of all ages is to help them prevent cancer. So it's even though your progesterone and estrogen both drop together during, after menopause, you want the ratios to still be correct. And there's a lot of things that cause estrogen from our environment, like chemicals and plastics and such. So that's a very important thing to check. And then just symptomatically, there's a lot of symptoms that go along with estrogen dominance. And also with saliva testing, for example, I'll check cortisol, testosterone. There's a lot more PCOS these days, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome. And a lot of the younger women are suffering from this, and their testosterone is too high. Usually they are going to have a weight problem, not always, but it's another sign of diabetes or blood sugar metabolism issues just as Alzheimer's is also another symptom. So, the amount of sugar that we're eating is causing us all kinds of problems.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the problem is that it's tasty.
I know. Well, there's, you can substitute monk fruit, stevia, allulose. These are we're pretty lucky. You can use some honey, but honey can get, you can use too much honey also. But one of the things is if you start taking it out of your diet, you won't crave it as much. It really is a lot like heroin because, your body seems to incorporate some of these things. And once it incorporates it, then it craves it. So you have to break that cycle so the body does not crave it nearly as much. It's very controversial whether it's actually an addiction, but it sure seems like it.
Yeah. I would.
I 100% believe that it's an addiction. I am literally jonesing for it. I crave it. I can't. I mean, in the past, I've been lately very good, especially trying to eliminate it 100%. I'm really close, but I really truly I come from a family of people who are addicted to things, whether it be drugs, alcohol, whatever. I think that my addictions come out with sugar.
Well, it's the old saying about when you quit smoking, it's easy to quit, it's hard to stay quit. And I think that's the same thing with sugar. Yeah, you can go off sugar for a while, and that's great, and everybody should do that. But it's staying off of it. And of course, we use it for birthdays and holidays and Christmas. And so then you kind of have to go through the whole cycle again if you indulge. But that's okay. If we only did it with holidays, that wouldn't be bad. Our body could handle it. But when every single day, we're eating donuts and pastries, because in this country, we have so many toxic chemicals as well. And that's one of the reasons why you're seeing more obesity here than in other countries. It's not just that their food quality is better, which is true, but we have chemicals and things in our food that are not allowed, for example, in Europe. And, so some of these people who are saying, gosh, I really don't feel like I'm eating enough to cause this kind of weight gain, I think they're probably telling the truth. I think that the chemicals. So then, really starting to take apart what you're eating and take a look at it is, staying in the whole food, real food realm. Yeah. Because the processed food is what's developed in a laboratory and made in a factory. And that's the food that makes us fat and sick. The real food that's growing out of the ground and swimming in the ocean and running around the barnyard, that's the food that it's hard to be really fat eating just that food. Not impossible. You could eat too much, but it's much harder. Yeah. So, and I think we really, we have to start really confronting that to be healthy, because we're not talking about health span. People were talking about lifespan and longevity for a long time. It's not really so much of an issue. It's how healthy are you into those later years? Because who wants to live to be 95 if you can't enjoy anything and you're immobile and you're on, multiple medications and somebody has to feed you? That's not living, really.
Yeah. Being a vegetarian, I recently found out, because in my mind, I was thinking I was supplementing for meat when I would have like a veggie burger or, Beyond Nuggets or like all of these meals and different meats that in my mind, I'm like, oh, okay, I can season it and it'll semi-taste like meat. But what I didn't know, the chemicals in there and the amount of soy, I had no idea how bad it is for me. especially going through menopause. So now it's retraining my brain after these years of all the processed to now cook mainly plant-based, aside from when I have, when I start having seafood and all of that stuff. But there were so many things in these foods I had absolutely no idea. And I think that probably could have been part of what was triggering all the different emotions and feelings and everything that I was going through as I was starting this whole menopause journey.
That's a really good point. I'm not a fan of soy at all. And a lot of women, I mean, how many women have thyroid problems? And soy is something that does affect the thyroid quite a bit. So, and you always have to take thyroid into account. That's why, even though I do the saliva testing for the part of the hormonal system, I like to do functional medicine lab work as well. I also do muscle testing, because sometimes you can pick up things with muscle testing that the lab work just is never going to tell you.
When I started going through menopause, it was at the beginning of COVID. And I was going through perimenopause, and I was kind of keeping control of the weight problem, because I'd always been super thin. And then I started gaining weight, and I had lost it by doing all these, things. And then COVID happened, and I wasn't able to do the group exercises anymore. And I kind of fell off that. I was like sad and depressed, and it was a difficult time. And I'm an emotional eater, and I'm a sugar emotional eater, because, that's my problem. But my question is, now that I'm 4 years into it and out of it, it's been 4 years since I started menopause. I don't really have a lot of issues, but what I do notice is that my skin is a little different. My hair texture is a little different. And I'm having issues with getting rid of the weight gain. So when you start going through the process that you're talking about, can I reverse this bullshit that I'm starting to go through?
Well, when you say reverse, do you mean, can you go back to the way it was before menopause?
Well, can I go back to losing the weight and be in control of not being heavy? And can I, will it help with not having this, weird texture on my skin?
Well, the skin has estrogen receptors. So you might want to use some, are you doing any bioidentical hormones at all?
I've done nothing.
Okay. And that's fine. I'm not saying that everybody should, but there are, again, herbal things that you could do. And you might want to do some testing just to see, for example, some women, if they are estrogen dominant, I probably would recommend some progesterone, bioidentical progesterone, or some herbal things like chaste tree, Vitex, will help with progesterone. So there's definitely things that you can do.
What is that called again?
It's chaste tree.
Taste tree?
Chaste. 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 Chaste tree. It's also called Vitex. That's another name for the same thing.
Vitex?
Vitex. VITEX.
Okay.
Now, the hormones are made from cholesterol, believe it or not. So there's conversions, there's a cascade of hormones, and the body makes hormones and converts. Sometimes progesterone, sometimes the body will go to cortisol instead of progesterone, for example. So stress has a lot to do with how we go through any aspect of hormones. And sometimes you need to support the adrenals, for example. So that's why I prefer a really, really holistic approach to this. Take it all into consideration, because you want an ideal situation. The most ideal situation is you keep every part of it working as well as it can, despite going through menopause, and that kind of a big change in a woman's body. And men go through andropause, so they also have a pretty big change. So we're not the only one.
Well, I'd like to have, I would like to actually have you back to possibly talk about what men go through as well. Because we've never addressed that, and nobody has ever even said anything like that until you. So that is actually very interesting. We do have a question from Charles, and Charles says, does saliva tests fluctuate? Like, is there, like certain times that that it would show different answers?
Sure. Oh, absolutely. So again, if a woman is still having periods, I do saliva testing day 19, 20, or 21, because I want to see if she gets a progesterone surge when she should in her cycle. Because estrogen goes up and drops down, then progesterone goes up and drops down. And that's what causes the period to come, when the progesterone drops. So you want to see if that's a normal cycle. And again, especially if you're doing fertility, or if you're just helping a woman, the cycle, you talked about the moon earlier. A woman's cycle should be with the new moon or the full moon. We're supposed to be on a 28-day moon cycle. That's really when we're supposed to be having periods. And some women, even after menopause, if they felt some, I don't mean bad symptoms, but if they could notice when they would have had a period in the old days around the moon cycles. So just depends on, some women are more sensitive to this than others.
Yeah, I can see that. I know that our bodies ebb and flow like like the tide that's connected with the moon. I know I know there's a lot of different things like that. When someone comes to you, how long is that process before they are, like in a place where they're starting to feel like they're getting somewhere?
I want to say it's usually not very long. Because just based on my experience, I think that usually within a few weeks, sometimes within, if a woman is still having periods, sometimes by the next period, you'll see an improvement. And, postpartum, what we used to call the baby blues. Usually if you start supporting thyroid and adrenals and such, and just help the body get, get back to a more even keel. But with menopause symptoms, usually it's, the only thing would be sometimes the hot flashes are a little bit harder to sort out, because it's very often related to the hypothalamus, which is one of the major glands that happens to be in the midbrain with the pituitary. So, so the brain is very connected to all this, but then now we know the microbiome is actually communicating with the brain. And so it's just more of a complex, holistic scenario. And you have to make sure everything is really working together. So hot flashes can sometimes be a little trickier, but not always. Sometimes, as I said, liver support really makes a huge difference there.
I was considering doing a liver detox. Is that something that you would say that it's a good thing for someone to try? Or do you think it's something that has to be monitored?
Unless you're doing something really draconian, I think you should be fine with some, normal supplements to do that with. I think everybody could use that, because we live in a very toxic world.
Yeah.
And again, you want to talk about preventing cancer, you want your detox organs to be working really well. And a lot of women have gallbladder issues. So the gallbladder catches the toxins from the liver, And so sometimes that affects the gallbladder also. So that's another reason why it's a good idea. And anybody who drinks alcohol really should, take liver supplements. So
Do you see people remotely, or how do you?
Mhm.
Oh, excellent.
Mm-hmm. Yes, especially after COVID started. I always did a little bit, but during COVID,
Yeah.
I started doing a lot more, and I can order lab work for somebody to do locally wherever they are.
Oh, that's great to know, because
Yes.
I want to, when I go to post this episode for all the networks that we're on, we're over on over 100 episode. I mean, God bless America. I can't talk either. That's part of it. It's brain fuck up. We're on over 100 locations for listening to podcasts, and I want to be able to put your information where they can find you, because I think you're the most knowledgeable person that I've found in all my searching for menopause.
Yeah.
And I definitely want to go to you. Do you find that something like this is really hard for people who can't use their insurance or are on their own? Do you think it super expensive? Is it something that the average person can have something taken care of like this? Because I think it sucks to have someone suffer
I know.
without,
Right.
what's your thoughts on that?
I'm a naturopath. And so if you go to a functional medicine doctor, chances are it's going to be much more expensive, but sometimes they are covered by insurance. I'm not. I've never taken insurance. So I try to keep my prices pretty reasonable and, try to work with people because unfortunately, it is out of pocket, and insurance, it's a shame insurance doesn't cover it, because it would be fantastic. It seems like it would benefit the insurance companies, but somehow they don't see it that way.
Well,
So,
somehow they also don't think women's health is all that important.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, once we pop out a handful of fucking kids for the world, it seems like nobody gives a shit what happens to us. That's my own soapbox right now. We are almost out of time, but I have really been wanting to come to you. I should have come to you sooner.
Yes.
I'm definitely going to come to you, because
I'm definitely
even
coming.
though I did not have a lot of hormonal problems when I was going through menopause, the main things is the brain fog, and the weight gain. The weight gain is literally killing me.
Me
Like,
too.
can't even begin to tell you how extraordinarily difficult emotionally it is on my mind. So I definitely want to come to you. And anybody else who's listening who wants to check out Anne, please check out Anne. Tell us what your best contact for you is. Like, is it
Well,
your website?
yes, my website. Now I do go back and forth these days between California and Florida. So
Okay.
I see people in both places, and then I also see people virtually.
Okay.
So those options are all available, but I just I'm not in LA all the time anymore.
Okay.
And but just talking on the phone, you can do a lot, with people, and listening to the story and what they're going through, and helping to really understand. It's we live in this really strange world when you think about it, because we are eating so far away from nature.
Yeah.
And, we wonder why there's so much weight gain. But have you seen the movies like from the 70s, or photos of pictures on the beach in the 70s? Nobody was overweight. And yes, of course, you probably would gain a little bit, because fat does contain estrogen. It may be nature's way of keeping our hormones up a little bit, that we gain a little bit of weight. But there's no reason why you have to be gain that much weight, not fit into your clothes anymore. But it is a journey.
It is
And,
a journey.
you have to be willing to do the work, because otherwise, those drugs are going to look really good. And, you want to stay healthy along that way.
Yeah.
And that's the challenge.
Yeah. This was wonderful, wonderful,
Yeah,
wonderful.
it was. It really was. And we can't thank you enough for being here. And I will reach out to you, not only for myself, but
Mhm.
I really am very interested in hearing how men go through what they're going through mentally and physically when it comes to their own hormone changes. It probably doesn't help with erectile dysfunction or weight gain and all kinds of stuff for them as well. So if you don't mind, we'd
Yeah.
love to have you back to talk about that.
Sure, I would love to talk about that. The unfortunate thing is it's really hard to talk to the men about that. I mean, I have
Yes.
so many women who, talk to me about their husbands, but their husbands don't want to come see me because it's all good as long as, they can
Right.
get
Right.
around but by the way, acupuncture, they're starting to see some promise with acupuncture. So I know that's a problem for a lot of couples. So just mentioning that.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
We're over time, so I
Okay.
apologize that we have to go because I hate it when it goes this fast. But you are amazing. We absolutely love you.
Thank you.
And we're definitely going to see you again because I think you're just so brilliant.
Yes.
Well, thank you.
So
This was such a pleasure. I really, really enjoyed it.
thank you for being here. And Jade, I love you, actually. Everyone who came to listen today, thank you so much. Please come back again next week, same time, same place. And until then, keep that shit real. If you enjoyed this episode, please share with your friends, like and follow us on Instagram at 50 Shades of _bullshit and Facebook at 50 Shades of Bullshit. Thanks so much for listening, and we really hope to see you again next week.